Okay, so today is Take Back Our Tech, and we've talked a lot already about cryptocurrency and decentralized blockchain technology. But as Lutz pointed out so colorfully, sometimes we create these new technologies and there's a lot of similarities and imbalances and power dynamics similar to that which we see in the legacy financial world and the legacy internet and computational world. Well, every so often, actually pretty rarely, there's a really cool project that comes along that is completely defying all of the norms, even in the cryptocurrency world. And we're super excited to have some folks that are behind one of those particular projects. It's defying a lot of the cryptocurrency norms. It's true decentralization in every meaning of the word. And it's not just money that you send back and forth, as we'll learn. There's all sorts of applications that are really, really powerful tools for liberating humanity. So without further ado, let's bring up the guys from QORTAL, Jason Crowe and Mike Winner.
Gotcha. There you go.
Thanks, guys. Check. 1, 2. Check. Oh, it does work. Okay, nice.
Austin, we were having so much fun here. Thank you, Derek Bros and John, for having us and believing in QORTAL. We are excited because it is happening. It is happening now. And now is the time for radical change, because we are at an epochal moment for humanity. We are facing possibly either the darkest hour or the brightest moment. And that is what is exciting and terrifying at the same time, right? But we're here, and QORTAL's here, and QORTAL is launched, and QORTAL is happening. And we are radicals in the space, John. Yes, we're definitely radicals. Almost as radical as Jason's tattoos and his style, man. Give it up for Jason Crowe. And he's going to extend this out. And I was
across my shoulders and across to my other shoulder. And yeah, so I'm doing that for sure.
Embracing the cypherpunk mentality. That's what we're all about. And that's where crypto started, and that's where we've taken crypto back to. And I even hate saying the word crypto.
Me too. I really
because crypto connotates this whole Wall Street 2.0 ecosystem that is getting VC capital, and they're talking about market shares and talking about all this stuff that's like, whoa, what is going on here? That was never the intention of Satoshi Nakamoto. That was never the intention of the cypherpunks that were looking to go back to first principles of sovereignty in the digital space.
So basically everyone who I've seen speak at this event has mentioned the fact that they need a separate infrastructure platform. Now, nobody has actually pointed to the fact that it already exists, and that platform is QORTAL. So for digital infrastructure, everything that you do on the traditional internet, everything that you do on your computer on a daily basis can be done in a completely decentralized fashion without the need of any nonsense technology or a company over everything doing whatever they're doing with your data and whatever else is totally unnecessary. You can do all of this with a device this small, if you like, on QORTAL. You can use your typical computer too, but Intel and AMD and all the processors and stuff also have backdoors into them. So this here is completely open source from the hardware level up. It's built with a Raspberry Pi 4. My company sells these. This Crowetic.com sells these, but you can also build them yourself if you like. This is the whole idea behind a completely decentralized, completely open source platform that is actually able to rebuild everything, right? So it's not just a techno or a cryptocurrency that's going to be able to use for transactional purposes. This is actually able to rebuild websites, to rebuild communications, to rebuild all the things like Kanban boards and everything that people are mentioning. All of that stuff can be rebuilt on top of a network that does not require any centralized control.
Yeah, let's back up a little bit, right? So we're talking today about decentralization, and we'll get in a second into really what that means and why that's important, and also about privacy and all these things. But what are we looking at right now? What are we looking at in terms of our relationship with technology? We're talking today about solar punk and about, which I love, by the way, as someone who loves permaculture and lives in the forest myself and loves technology. I think that is an amazing idea. But really, where are we at with technology? we've given into convenience, right? We've given into the idea that life should be easy and that technology should basically be the answer. And it's not. It's not. We are the answer. We are the ones. Nature is the answer. Technology needs to serve us. And so I had this epiphany yesterday here in Austin with all you amazing people and us each like sharing this energy and these ideas. And I had this idea with about any of you guys heard of the slow food movement, right? And that was a reaction in France to the emergence of fast food chains coming into Europe and Asia. And the folks there were like, what? We're French. We eat cheese and have wine and we don't do Big Macs. And so they embraced their culture and they embraced this idea of going back to the land and going back to their cultural, heritage. And we are now at that precipice with technology. We need to start thinking about radical ideas of how we relate to technology every day. And we need to embrace the slow technology movement that QORTAL actually, in a way, is working with.
Well,
Right,
it's
Jason?
also it's just the fact that rebuilding everything from the ground level up is not like a simple task, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort, and for us to come in and say like, "Oh yes, we've already got this," it's something that's been in development for over 8 years. Like this platform is not something that just sprung up out of nowhere, like a lot of these ICOs and nonsense, right? This is something that was built from scratch to address every single issue with all of the nonsense in the centralized world, right? So we're getting rid of any intermediary in between trades, any intermediary in between hosting. You don't need anything other than a node running on the network, and you can facilitate all of your own digital needs, right? Like that's really what it is.
It's when I say it's all about us and all about you, it is about you taking charge of your data, taking charge of this relationship with technology, and you do that on QORTAL through your own device. So it starts at the hardware level up. We are going back to first principles of internet. First principles of everything related to what the original cypherpunks wanted. And so it's going to take a little work, guys. It's going to take, like in the slow food movement, going your farmer, knowing where your food comes from. Well, in this case, it's going to take right now a little bit of time to understand what technology is and what your relationship to it is. And we are embracing Moore's law, which is essentially just the idea that the ability for technology to exponentially grow every year, doubling and doubling for hard drive space, is something really amazing and something that we can use to our advantage for our ability to be stewards of our own data.
Most people do not take advantage of the hardware that they already have, right? And so what QORTAL is going to help people do is also do that. So if you install a QORTAL node on your device at home, you will be able to maximize the potential of your device while at the same time helping to establish a distributed network, decentralized network that can facilitate all of the stuff that you need done on a daily basis without the interruption and intermediaries that are always involved, right? So it's really like taking back your own control by literally installing this on your computer is the first step.
And Jason, would it be possible to use a little solar panel to run that?
In fact, yes. These devices here, I have a plan. So we are selling these, right? But you can also build them. We will give you the 3D printer files. If you have a 3D printer, you want to print their own case, you can do that. And in the future, I do have plans to build a solar version that will include a panel that will fold out, and you'll have the solar panel and a little battery like yay big, and you'll be able to hook that up to this device, and that will run it with just solar power. And since these things only take as much power as a phone charger to run, it will run basically forever on a little battery. So yeah.
And when you say you, that's because you are running a private company on top of QORTAL.
Right, exactly.
Anybody that's an
Yes.
entrepreneur can do the same. Everything's
Yes.
open source. You could start your own QORTAL laptop company.
We're not trying to say like, oh, we built the Cortector and it's our property, intellectual. No, there is no intellectual property involved in QORTAL whatsoever. Every single piece of the stuff that we sell on Crowetic.com or anything else related to QORTAL is completely open source. That means that anyone can take it, build one of their own. They can make another company selling the same thing with a different name. Who cares? They can even take the entire platform of QORTAL and clone it and use it for something else. It really doesn't matter. Just as long as the technology gets out there and starts getting utilized by everyone and we get rid of the nonsense, that's what matters, right?
Yes. No more nonsense.
We're not trying to own everything here, guys. Like, this is really not the point. That is the point of like how we got into this situation to begin with.
We
Like,
are leaving the world of intellectual property.
Yes.
We are going to a world of open source everything. We're
Now-
going to a world of collaboration, cooperation. We are going to a world where corporations will cease to exist. There is no corporation behind QORTAL. There are no trademarks behind QORTAL. We don't care if you use your own QORTAL logo that you like in the UI. We don't care.
It doesn't matter. We will literally make it in the future so that you can customize your QORTAL interface to look like whatever you want. So if you have a company and you want to say, oh, this is my interface from my company, fine. You can go ahead and make it look like whatever you want, put your branding on it, do whatever you want, and say it's your interface. Who cares? Because as long as it's using the back end that QORTAL provides, the infrastructure that QORTAL provides, that's all that matters. We do not have any ownership over anything, and we don't want it. We want everyone else to go ahead and take and make ownership over whatever they want and build it, as long as they build it utilizing the correct infrastructure. It's really all about that. If you start using the correct infrastructure for the future, then you don't have to worry about all of this stuff coming back to where it is now. Like this is all of the stuff that is the way it is now is the problem. Like that's where we're trying to get rid of it, right?
Yeah, so we hear a lot about Web 3.0 and decentralization. It's the big buzzword in crypto, right?
Yeah.
And DeFi. And really, what is that? Really, when you look at that and the interoperability between all these projects, they are just basically taking this new idea of decentralization and putting it back into the box. They're still in Web 2.0, which is the Facebooks, which is the Googles, which is everything that has basically been ensnaring us into this technocratic, control grid. And it's even worse, though, because now the technocrats get to stand back and go, oh, let them ensnare themselves in the slavery themselves. Let them create it themselves. Ha, 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 ha. And so what we're doing is, and when I say we, I mean the community, the developers,
community.
the people that have been involved with this in the underground for, 6-7 years now, that have seen this coming. We saw it coming, and we knew it was coming, and we knew we had to rebuild everything from the ground up, completely transparent.
No reliance upon any of the existing infrastructure can be maintained. So if we're building something that's completely brand new, that's able to host websites and do everything that the traditional internet does, right? It needs to have no reliance upon the old internet whatsoever. And that is the main thing that these other guys seem to not get, is that they're still using domains. They're still using centralized aspects in multiple different things that they're doing, right? And if you have any single centralized aspect to a decentralized platform, the entire platform is then centralized. That is that's my opinion, but I think that's kind of logical, right? If there's one part that's centralized, that makes the whole thing centralized. You can't just pick and choose and say, oh, this part's decentralized and this part's decentralized. This centralized part, oh, just ignore that. Yeah. No,
radical, guys. It's all about being radical right now. We need radical solutions for radical times, right?
And just, it sounds complex when we're just yammering on and on about it, but it's really very simple too. We've made the interface as simple as possible. So people who do not understand technology, that's okay. That's why we have these. You can buy one of these, set it up. It's a full desktop computer. You plug a monitor, keyboard, and mouse into it. It's good to go. Or if you have a Mac or a Windows computer, like everybody has, you can install the software on that and run it. The UI, very easy to use. You click create account, you put in a few details with your password, your account is created. Everything else on the left-hand side, it's literally what it is. If you want to send coin, you go to send coin. If you want to use your wallet, you go to wallet. If you want to trade, you go to the trade portal. If you want to communicate, you go to QChat. It's really straightforward. So all of the complex back-end stuff is all great and all, but it's also had to be this way for people to be able to use it, right? It can't be some super complex thing that only super cypherpunk type guys like us understand. It has to be something where the everyday typical computer user can look at it and figure it out. So I actually literally, we tested this when we did the previous project that we based the UI off of for QORTAL, actually. And we did a test of this out at a music festival. And so we
people on mushrooms and stuff, and
yes,
they could do it.
So we took this UI and said, here, gave it to people and said, do this. And they figured it out, right? So if we could do that at a music festival when people are like, yeah, man, fun, and they'll figure it out, then it was simple to use, right?
So yeah. So Jason, let's back up.
I just wanted to make that point.
Let's back up.
It sounds really complex when we're just
yeah, let's back up a second. First principles. So what do we need to be sovereign, right? We need security. And so security is inherently foundational to QORTAL. And we use the blockchain and hashing and different cryptographic technologies to do that. But beyond that, we securitize in the hardware itself. Hardware up. Lutz earlier today from Pirate Chain, who is a homie, and we love Pirate Chain. We'll be working with Pirate Chain. They're all about privacy. They're our favorite privacy coin. What did he mention? He mentioned how, well, he didn't say her name.
Well, yeah, he didn't.
Thanks, Lutz. But he was talking about us.
Yeah. He mentioned that they were lacking infrastructure, that they don't have, like, all that they can do is simple transaction of value, right? With transfer of value. Which is fine, and that's great for being used as a currency, but they do not have the rest of the infrastructure that you need to make a currency actually something that's useful, right? Like, so their reliance upon still centralized exchanges, centralized,
and reliance upon centralized structures to purchase stuff.
Right, exactly. So all of the rest of the infrastructure that most cryptocurrencies just like ignore, that's what QORTAL focuses on, and getting back to having an infrastructure that's run by the people for the people, owned by the people for the people, and not owned by any company at all. And it's actually built that way so that everyone can contribute, take ownership of what they choose to take ownership of with data and everything. So if you view a website, you become a peer for that data. If you decide you don't want to be, you can remove it. It's really, really about individual sovereignty. You can decide what you want on your node.
You opt in. You opt into what you want to see. We don't care. If you're into, I don't know, drinking your own urine, you can have a Shivambu website on QORTAL, and people that are into that can engage with that. It's all about personal sovereignty.
Yeah, we always get the question about, oh, it's a hosting platform. What about illegal content? Like, first of all, what is illegal content, and who decides what is illegal? Okay, fine. If we're going with fine, it's illegal content. Okay, it doesn't matter. Are you going to host it? No? Then why do you care? Because the only data that's going to be on your node is data that you choose or that you view. So if you specifically choose to be the data there, then it's on you, right? It's not on us. We are not a hosting company. There's no company involved in this. So who are you going to like target for any of this anyways? It's really on each individual. If you decide to view content that may be questionable, that's you deciding to view that content.
It's on
not
you, bro.
on our platform, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is really radical, because I think we've been sold down this line that humanity, and they've done a really good job at this, that we are inherently flawed, we're machines, we're selfish, right? So we have to be protected by centralized people that are sources that know better. That's nonsense.
Total nonsense.
Nonsense. We have faith in humanity. We know that we've been held down, and when we have the freedom to actually expand our horizons, we're going to conquer all of these problems. They talk about, what if the internet comes down? How are we going to maintain the telecom connection? And it's easy. We're going to figure it out, because we're going to be free to do so. And literally, while I was sitting here in the chair, I was telling Jason, it's like, if QORTAL does its job, we will buy up all the infrastructure. Our community,
with
using
centralized communities and companies built in the correct fashion with true open source behind everything, will rebuild the existing technologies that are there too, right?
The telecoms will fail. They'll be going bankrupt, and we'll come in and save them. And we'll take over the wire and infrastructure, and we'll be developing new wireless infrastructure that could either have healthy
Right, that's what I would like to see, because people talk about the frequencies being damaging, and there may or may not be evidence supporting either direction, right?
But ever heard of Royal Rife? Anybody ever heard of Royal Rife? Okay, there are amazing technologies out there that most people have no idea about. We could be getting into weird analog crystal technologies that are using quantum entanglement to be, delivering information between. We don't know, because we haven't been able to explore this, because they've controlled through the patenting system and through the centralization system and all the honey traps they set up, and they've stopped us from being able to really innovate.
And what method QORTAL uses to communicate from one node to another doesn't necessarily matter. Right now, yes, we utilize the internet because that's what we have that's available for everybody to use. But in the future, any method that can connect one node to another, whether it's a mesh network, whether it's existing technologies, whether it's whatever, some quantum stuff that doesn't I have no idea.
Quantum.
It doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter which technology connects the two nodes. So we can, and we've built it specifically so that there is no reliance upon that connection method, so that when we decide to, and when it's possible, that connection method can be modified, changed, there can be multiple different ones. We can have gateways from one to the other. It doesn't really matter. And everything still functions because that connection was not part of the design of the functionality. So yeah, it's
one of the core principles behind QORTAL is community and cooperation. So one of the biggest challenges with like Bitcoin, which I used to be, and I'm pretty much still am a Bitcoin fundamentalist. Like 99% of crypto, I'm sorry, is garbage.
That's true.
Okay,
yeah, it is true.
And you know, there's elements to Bitcoin that I think is going to last a long time because of its true decentralized nature in terms of where it came from and blah blah blah. The problem with Bitcoin though, it's very hard to update. It's very hard to be agile. Very hard to be agile, right? So we specifically developed QORTAL to be community developed so that we can actually innovate for the future and to outlive us all.
In fact, the original team that I put together like 8 years ago, the developers right now who are actually doing most of the active development work came in from the community and were not part of the original team. So that just goes to show that the community foundational principles of QORTAL are already in effect, and any person from the community, and in fact, I've talked to a couple of people here yesterday, which seemed very interested in joining our development team. Anybody can do it, right? We don't have like a corporate structure where you have to be hired and you have to be interviewed by me and I have to say, oh, haha, yes, you're great. And then you get to join the team and the team is now super official and you get a badge that says you're on the team. No, like it's literally like, hey, yo, I'm a developer. Oh, awesome. What do you do? Oh, I write this in this language. Oh, great. We could use that over here. Thanks.
Yeah. And what's exciting too is in terms of the economic model, which we haven't touched on. So we were at the Greater Reset virtually last year. So I highly recommend watching that the first talk we did on QORTAL, because that goes over the more core fundamental basics. But the economic model is based to incentivize everybody to run their own node. So everybody shares in the rewards. So unlike Bitcoin or what, they use proof of work as the foundational consensus mechanism, where it's everyone computers competing against each other, which has led to massive mining farms.
The competition is kind of a problem, right? Because it leads back to the same people who have the most money being the ones who can buy the most space in a warehouse and the most power to power all these devices and these massive machines that cost like $15,000 each now, which is ridiculous. They didn't used to be that expensive, but now they're crazy. And you can fill a whole warehouse with these devices and sit there and just computate all day, right? Like that's what they do. And that's leading right back to the people who have the most money are going to be the ones who control the network. So it's like, wait a minute, like the whole idea behind Bitcoin was supposed to be that each individual person could run and mine Bitcoin on their own computer. Now, because there are really smart people in the world, they took that algorithm and they made it run faster on graphics cards, and that led it to ASICs and to other specific devices that just run that algorithm all day long, and that's all they do. And that became a problem because it gets right back to the same thing, where the money equals power. And QORTAL takes away the money equals power. That's not a thing anymore. You cannot get power in the QORTAL network by any other means other than just becoming a minter like everybody else, getting a sponsorship, becoming a minter, and proving yourself over time.
It's really a proof of time model. I kind of came up with that. I know it's not like inherent to what we say the consensus is, but really that's what it is. It's based on what do we all share? We all share that we're here in this time together. I don't know. Maybe some of you can jump in the future and stuff. I don't know. But I'm stuck. I'm in the present, and we're all in the present. We all share that, and we're all equally dealing with that. So it's based on time, how long you support the network. Basically, everything's in service to the network. The network must outlive us all. And because we have a blockchain that has a consensus that is related to the most fair that we can think of as of right now, we will have immutable. I mean, the power of blockchain is that's an immutable, and if you do it right, immutable truth machine, right? Like
unstoppable machine that just keeps running and running and running and running forever. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't hack it. You can't take it down. It's nothing, right? So yeah, you need to have that core engine that basically runs this new infrastructure. And that also provides, what's really interesting is because it's basically a central location for all things decentralized. So it's like a conundrum, right? Like, yes, this one place has all the things that are all decentralized. And it's true because you can go to the QORTAL UI, you can use multiple different wallets, you can trade from one blockchain directly to another one with no central authority, no KYC, no nonsense.
I think we were the first to do that too.
Yes, actually, yeah,
Maybe.
we were. We didn't get credit for a lot of this stuff. We were the first team. The ones who built this project were the ones who also built the first smart contract on a live blockchain back over a year and a half before Ethereum existed. We were also the first ones to do a cross-chain swap in the world, and I think there's still maybe some record of that on the internet somewhere. But between Burst and Quora, which Quora was the platform that I personally decided to take over development of, and asked the community if it was okay, and had my development team like take over the development of Quora, and that ended up starting what became QORTAL, and now it's much bigger than that, and we rebuilt the entire thing. But yeah, so it yeah.
So where are we now? So we had another exciting development with QORTAL where we launched the QORTAL data network. It's basically in a beta phase right now. At least I call it beta. And what's funny is we're so decentralized, we don't even know, like, different people in the project call it different things.
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
But
they're like, it's a beta. It's totally not a beta. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it is a beta though. Like, it just launched 2 weeks ago now, I think. 2 weeks ago. Now we have the ability to host websites on our decentralized network, which means no servers, no domains, no hosting fees, nothing. And there are no fees on QORTAL other than your name registration fee, which at the moment costs 0.001, but that's up for debate because multiple community is suggesting that fee increases. But right now, it's 0.001 QORT, which is valued at what, $1.50 right now? So 0.001 of $1.50, it costs you that to register a name. Once you have that name is both a username and a domain name, for lack of a better word, we should call it.
And the only name on the blockchain.
The only name. It's a unique name that you can then use to build your website, and you can have your website, the data for it, all of the followers of that website, and everything associated to that website. And in the very near future, you will be able to take that website and all of its content, the entire brand essentially, and sell it at once on the names market. So, and there will be no need to change hosting or anything. The person who buys it will just be able to start editing it. And it's completely revolutionary. That nothing like this has ever existed before. Like,
and these are all just test case. These are all just
I know.
things that can be developed on QORTAL. So
all of the things we have now are demos, essentially, of what the technology can do. The core functionality of QORTAL is absolutely incredible, and the stuff that can be built from it is innumerable. So
if you're a developer, if this interests you, come to the Discord right now. Eventually we'll be off Discord. We will just be completely on QORTAL. We do have QChat that's been running for like a year and a half now. It's like a decentralized minimal Telegram, if you will, that's completely
it just got avatars.
Yeah, we have avatars now. And so if you guys are, once again, core principles, right? Communication, ability to transact completely privately and decentralized. So we have all that already. Now the ability to host information. Like was mentioned earlier today, the Disinfo Dozen, friends like Kelly Brogan, who was here, and she's not here today, but people that are being heavily censored can come onto QORTAL, and it is immutable forever, and it's free to host.
Yes, you do not have to pay a single fee other than your name registration fee. Once you have that name, you can put up data on the QORTAL network, which is distributed. It gets faster, it gets stronger, it gets more redundant, it gets more anonymous. As more people use it, view it, follow it, right? So there's no way for anything to be censored. There's no way for anything to be taken down other than the person who put it there taking it down. So
it is community working together across the world to build the new.
Everyone who's been talking about like needing this new infrastructure and still building things on traditional domains and all they need is QORTAL. They need QORTAL. Like, I've been trying, like, all these people talking, I'm like, no, you guys, you don't need to waste time building XMPP servers and stuff. Like, this is already done. Like, we've built the new infrastructure. You guys just need to come use it and help us continue to build it, because you guys are wasting time building stuff on the old centralized things. You don't need to do that. We have a new way to do it now. Like,
and so there's so much coming to QORTAL. We were talking about the QORTAL crowdfund mechanism that's coming, which will for me, as someone who's very passionate about entrepreneurialism and also growing your own food and all that, imagining able to microfinance, totally decentralized, totally in a way that's very unique, like a farm in Costa Rica, where you could have essentially an NFT, non-fungible token type relationship to a tree. And you could take ownership of a tree, and that is your tree that you are now microfinancing this whole farm through the QORTAL name system. There's all sorts of amazing practical applications to this to help ground us back into the earth in that solar punk ethos that I really, really like. And I just see it happening, Jason, where we have these communities out in these homesteads where they're running their little solar powered device, and we're mesh networked all across the globe. And we're off the systems, we're off the Googles, we're off the Apples, we're off the telecom companies, we're off the big banks, we're off, you name it. And that's really what we all want, right? So let's work together, let's collaborate, let's cooperate, let's figure this out, let's let go of ego, and let's let go of, my project's better than your project, even though, we're calling out these projects because we see the issues with them, but let's all work together and let's be honest with what we're up against, because like I started this out with, the time is now.
If everything is built in a truly open source way, then everybody can see where the issues are and everybody can then help to fix them, right? So if everything is just built with that ethos in mind, everything completely open source from the hardware level up, right? Nothing that touches QORTAL can ever be closed source. Now, that doesn't then say that somebody couldn't build a closed source application that communicates through QORTAL and then monetize it in their own fashion, just like a lot of things on Bitcoin, whatever. That's also okay, right? We're not saying that you can't use this infrastructure for other things. We're just suggesting that the best way to do it is this way, right? So, really, this device, 5 watts of power, it's about the same amount as plugging in your phone. That can run the entire network. You don't need mining machines that are sitting there causing massive heat and power usage. The entire network can be run on these devices. So
and we have the future too to work with phones and I see it a future where new entrepreneurs will build new hardware that will work with QORTAL, and we won't be using MacBooks anymore. We won't be using.
I actually have a plan to build a MacBook type version of the QORTAL. It's going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, that's already something that I've been thinking about, where you can just take one of these, put it into a case, and then have a keyboard in it, and it folds up with a monitor there and touchscreen and whatever, and it's going to be like basically a laptop. So yeah.
So we have a very vibrant community in QORTAL too. Come join us in Discord or Telegram, and then get into QChat. You can create your own groups in QChat. We have all sorts of really cool groups that have been created about agorism, about anarchy, about real law, about health and wellness. People are just flocking to us.
And these groups are the same as the names. Like, they're immutable, they're unique. So when you create this group, it's going to be usable for so many things in the future. Like, you'll be able to put admins into this group, and in the future, those admins will be able to edit things on behalf of the group, right? And so it's going to be a really interesting thing that comes out from all of this. Like, the same way that the system automatically updates the entire network. Now, no other blockchain can do this either. The entire network, by a signature of 60% of the developer group on the chain, can automatically update. So this also makes it really easy for people to use, right? Because people are so used to everything just automatically updating, and they don't have to worry about anything, and it just click OK and it's good, right? That we had to have that same ease of use if we want people to be able to use QORTAL the same way that they do with everything else. So in order to make that in a decentralized way, it was very difficult, but we did come up with a solution for that. And so now the network actually does automatically update, which is something that no other blockchain can do. We have so many things like that, that this is not like some crypto project. It is literally the blockchain that will be the future, because it's the only one that actually has an entire infrastructure behind it.
And we need that. We need that now. So if you're, once again, if you're a developer and this is intriguing, please find us, because we need developers right now.
We need all of the developers.
But we need, much more than that, we need people that are just into communicating. Whatever skill you have.
Any skill you can use, you can use for QORTAL too.
Yeah. So thank you. And we're so excited for where this is going. Hey, John, any questions, John?
Yeah. Does anybody have questions?
anybody have any questions? Come on down. You're the next contestant on QORTAL. QORTAL's the best blockchain ever. I appreciate y'all's energy. I can tell you're very passionate about the project, and that passion is contagious. Yeah. Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, I was wondering, so for someone who's not super tech savvy, if we are still have our Gmail and things and want to have that option, is it possible to connect QORTAL and have that option but be able to toggle back on our computer with the legacy system?
So you're talking about more maybe like porting over information that exists, because what are you actually worried about? Your contacts?
I don't know.
So it's specifically like, because email is not going to be a thing in the future, right? So you will be able to use what's called chain messaging, and you'll be able to message directly to any other name or address without the need for email.
Okay,
so
not
it's
in
a
the future,
different.
But I'm still a little attached to email, right?
Okay,
and
well,
I think I'm not alone in that.
I mean,
right?
yeah. So what exactly about email do you like?
I mean, I'm not gonna have a good answer for you. I'm used
So-
to it and a bit of a ludding. Right? Yeah.
So the thing is that everyone, as soon as everyone starts using QORTAL, then email is no longer necessary.
But we're not gonna be there for a little bit.
Little bit, but I mean, we can make something to port that over, but I need to know what that is.
So you're telling me I can't do both at the same time?
You
So
can, because you're just using the old system and the new one at the same
right.
time.
So
But
the new system wouldn't disrupt me using
no,
the
no,
old
no, 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 no,
system.
no, totally. You can run a QORTAL node on your computer without it affecting anything else. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I understand that must be frustrating for you, but I'm also pretty confident that there are a lot of people out there that are going to want to test this out.
Oh,
have their
absolutely.
feet in
Yeah,
both
that's the whole
worlds
point of us
before
making
jumping
it
in.
able to run on any computer. Like you can run it on your existing Linux, Windows, Mac computer, whatever, side by side with everything else. It's just the new infrastructure, and you're still communicating with stuff with the old infrastructure. That's fine. But the new infrastructure is there too, right? So then
Yeah.
you'll at least have a gateway to it, and you can start learning it and start, checking it out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
because
I'm
in the
asking about.
future, email will not be a thing. You'll just,
Brings up a good point.
yeah.
So we're not saying just jump in and be that radical. I'm
Yeah,
saying
totally.
it's all a step-by-step process. John was talking about it a couple nights ago. It's this QORTAL's here. We're here. It's going to take step by step to get there.
Yeah, even
right?
people who understand Bitcoin and stuff are still not quite to the level that we are with QORTAL, because we're like, yeah, no, you're doing everything wrong still with centralized exchanges and all this stuff. It's like we're getting rid of all of that. So it's still, yeah, we're like ahead by a few years still. Like
Yeah.
people have
So
to like.
I
grasp
still
it,
use
yeah.
email, and I'll be using email for a
Yeah,
long
I'm
time.
sure a lot of people will
Yes.
still use it. Yeah.
But great question.
And I just wanted to thank you guys. You're obviously brilliant and way ahead of me on the tech side, and you're making it open source and not trying to just
Yeah, we're not trying to own anything. Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with people trying to make profits or money
Right.
either, but I appreciate how community minded you are. So thanks so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this
Yeah.
for us.
Thanks.
Okay, give them a round of applause. The QORTAL guys, Mike and Jason.